Are these tubes authentic tubes that were used on the site for something?
I would have to go back and refresh my memory on that because it was quite a while before I looked at it.
But the point is, like, they don't, like they have a replica of an ancient boat. They know they have boats. They know what the boats look like. They don't have the actual drill. So whether it's something exotic that we didn't know that they had capability to create, or whether it's what they think it is, neither one of those exist.
They don't exist.
Okay.
No, I mean, nothing exists. Everything right now is theory.
Okay.
And so we're stuck in a bit of a time walk, and we're stuck, it's between two disciplines.
So what is the reluctance of the archaeologists to accept the findings of the engineers if the goal is the truth? So if the goal is to figure out, instead of just having assumptions that you're going to cling to as dogma as to what was done, wouldn't the goal be, let's find out what the truth is, what's capable of doing this? If they talk to enough engineers, and especially enough people that actually carve into granite, then you would get an understanding of what we know today. This is the only thing that can do this. This is how it's possible.
Yeah, and then you would try and reproduce the artifacts that the ancient Egyptians produced, and then compare the results.
Right.
That's what you have to do. You have to...
So the reluctance is they don't believe that the Egyptians had any more advanced technology than what we assume they had, which is pulleys and ropes and copper tools and sand and the like.
Yeah, one would assume that. You'd have to ask an Egyptologist, and you may get a different answer depending on who you ask.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure. There's probably a lot more open-minded people coming up now.
Well, yes, particularly in Egypt.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a tremendous kind of quiet revolution going on in Egypt because you go where you feel like you're going to be welcome. If you're not welcome somewhere, you find someone. So when I put my work out, and I was talking to people in the 90s on message boards, and I could see that I wasn't getting anywhere there. And I thought, well, okay, who has the most to gain and who has the most to lose by opening this up and exposing everything, right, and getting it out in the open? Who has the most to gain if they come down on my side, and who has the most to lose? And obviously, those who have the most to lose are the Western institutions who have written the history of the world and written the history of Egypt. And so I decided, well, I have to appeal to Egyptian engineers. And so in my second book, Lost Technologies of Ancient Egypt, I put out a challenge to modern Egyptian engineers to go out and check the artifacts for themselves. And that's what they did. One man, one engineer, I don't know how many other engineers were involved, but I'm talking to Egyptology tour guides, and the message I'm getting is that the primitive tomb theory is pretty much on the way out. The young people are being energized and looking at their artifacts in a different way. So the engineer that took up the challenge is it's called Ahmed Adli, and he followed my path. He went into the Serapeum and checked those huge granite boxes. He did a study of the statues. He presented the Giza power plant theory to a physicist at Cairo University, and it's like, wow, times are changing. So the Egyptian youth are taking hold of the reins, and they're excited about their future. Just recently there's like a STEM class. It was put on by NAMA, American University, and it was held at the Grand Egyptian Museum. And there were over 200 students that took place, and the professors and teachers of these students got Ahmed Adley involved to design experiments to talk about pyramids as energy sources, talk about the statues, symmetry, design projects that the kids could do, and even to the point of taking a slab of copper and trying to cut a brick using the old method, just so that they could get a hands-on feel for what it was like. It's all very well to sit at home in your armchair and come up with a theory, but if you don't go out and test it, then or you're just going to buy it rote that
Right.
Okay. A respected professor tells me that this was done with copper chisels or copper slabs, and well, if he says it, then he's got to be right, because that's what he's paid for. He's paid to teach the truth.
What is the oldest known iron that we are aware of?
Oh,
In terms of steel.
yeah, that's a little outside my wheelhouse. I don't know. I won't be able to answer that accurately.
Right, but they don't think that the Egyptians had it.
Well, there was iron found in the Great Pyramid.
There was.
Yeah. I think it was during Petra's time, an engineer called Perring discovered an iron plate that was lodged near one of the shafts.
Wasn't there also, didn't one of the pharaohs have a dagger that was made from a meteorite?
Supposedly, yeah, meteoric iron, yeah.
Okay, so
how old is that? I don't know. And really, when you talk about the smelting of iron, I mean, I think you had that discussion on with your when Graham and
did we talk about that, Jamie? Like when?
And yeah,
I remember smelting being. It could have been though, but I don't.
Let's find out what is the conventional date that they use today for the smelting of iron. When they start doing that?
I think what the discussion was the appearance of lead in these ice cores that were drilled.
Oh, that's right. Right.
Industrial activity,
Yes.
basically,
Yeah.
what they were looking for.
So 1200 BC. Okay, the history of Pharos. How do you say that word?
Ferrous.
Ferrous metallurgy began far back in prehistory, most likely with the use of iron from meteors. There you go. The smelting of iron